It's skybound with the Talking Joe guys. Everyone calm down. We're here to talk comics. Skybound. Yes, hello, and welcome to Talking Joe, the G.I. Joe comics podcast. Now, today we are talking about the ENERGON Universe Special 2026, which came out as free comic book day issue, released as at time of speaking yesterday. And it will be also released in another flavor, which is as a paid-for comic book released on the Wednesday. So Wednesday, May, not written it down, 6th, I'm guessing. I did put it down somewhere. Mark. Anyway, so we will be talking about that issue, but I will not be doing it alone. As always, I'll be joined by my regular co-host. It's the real American Tim. It's Tim Finn.
Hello, Mark, viewers, listeners. Let's bring in our guest, former co-host, friend.
And here it is. It's Diagnostic AT, Chris McLeod, Full Force podcast host. Chris.
Hi, how's it going, guys? Nice to see you again.
Good.
Friends a bit of a push, Tim. Friends a bit of a push.
It gave me pause.
I'll take ex-co-host. I'll take current today's crossover co-host. But friend, come on.
Time zone sharers.
Colleague.
We're in the same time zone.
Time zone. I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Occasional convention passers-by.
Yep.
I have seen you at some G.I. Joe conventions.
That's happened. That's definitely happened. Yeah, absolutely. Happy to
And
be
I'd
on.
say that we share the same language, but you're from Norfolk, so...
Yeah, that I would say, no, we don't share the same language in any way, shape or form. Do you say, how do you break the day up in meals? Tell me the meal program of the day.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, we are speaking the same language then. Weirdly enough, a lot of people in Norfolk say tea instead of dinner.
Tea.
Which drives me mental. And dinner they use for lunch. Honestly, even that, I'm from the UK and I've grown up with this and I still can't get my head around that.
Yeah. Tea time? Are we drinking tea? No. That's what 11's is.
I speak Middle Earth Hobbit, so I have second breakfast, and what was that? 11's?
11's, yeah.
Third breakfast.
Yeah.
I just snack throughout the day, or I forget to eat because
I have been known to have a few hundred breakfasts. I especially when we go to hotels and you get like the the complimentary breakfast there. It's just like, okay, well, looks like I'm here for the next 7 hours.
I've paid for this, so I may as well eat enough to make myself sick.
When I remember, I try and take a yogurt and a banana on my way out from the buffet so that I can have an early lunch. We should probably talk about comics.
Nah.
Mm-hmm. As that time of recording, we are live. So if you're in the chat, feel free to join in, like Paul Morales, and like hello Paul, and like Jim Smith 301. Greetings,
I like
Jim.
Waving.
Wait, Mark, are these Full Force people or none of the Talking Joe regulars? I guess this is what we get. For
I wouldn't like to speak on them on their behalf, but yeah, we've probably got a few full forces.
Is it not a crossover sort of market target audience?
No, I see a lot of the same names on the different podcasts joining in, so I don't think there's too many people that necessarily exclusive.
Right.
If it's not Talking Joe regulars and it is Full Force regulars, I feel either embarrassed that Mark and I couldn't muster our marketing mites to get some of our regulars on this unusual day. It's a Sunday, not a Saturday. We tend to record on Saturdays. Even if you listen on a Thursday, this is already getting uninteresting. And I think I'm just jealous that Chris can get his regulars on an unusual day, and
And has regulars.
Has regulars.
I have a very regular situation going on. That's cool. I would call them irregulars as well, my crew. So shout out to my irregulars. You're all awesome.
So today we are talking about the ENERGON Universe Special, brought to us by 4 different creative teams as they bring us 4 separate stories on released as Free Comic Book Day. And so let's just have a bit of a check-in on how Free Comic Book Day went for us. Tim, as a store owner at Hub Comics, Free Comic Book Day was a big thing.
Yes. So I took over Hub Comics in 2011. We did not have a Free Comic Book Day in 2020 because we were renovating and the world
something else happened. Yeah, something else happened. I can't quite remember what it was though.
How do I say this softly? The world was on pause.
Yeah.
We did have a Free Comic Book Day in 2021. So we've had it, except for 2020, every year since 2011. It is our biggest day of the year. I love it because I want people to read comics. I want them to love comics as much as I do. I love to read. I love art. I like collecting things. There's a little bit of, making money on rare things. And Free Comic Book Day is an excuse for me to give away comics. And I can't do that every other day of the year. Although we do give some graphic novels to the elementary school nearby, and we have donated books to libraries. But since this is national and in fact international, it's good cover, right? No one's like, why are you doing this? Well, everyone's doing this. So the weather was okay. It was not the beautiful sunny day I was hoping for. That was the day before. It was the overcast, sort of about to rain all day weather, which slows things down. We have an arts event in my city. My city is Somerville, Massachusetts, and there's a nonprofit called the Somerville Arts Council, and there are artist studios throughout our small city, both art spaces where people work and live workspaces. And if you sign up, you can have an open house where people come to your studio and you hang a balloon outside, and it's both the same day as Free Comic Book Day and also the next day. So it's a full weekend. So there's already a reason why people are walking all over Somerville on this day.
Is that the same thing as Arts at the Armory, Tim? Is that in the same place?
Arts at the Armory is the confusing name for the Armory, which is a building. So people who don't have a home studio can sign up to do Somerville Open Studios at the Armory.
Okay.
So a friend of mine who makes lamps, but doesn't have a home studio that you could visit, got a table.
I like him, but he's shady.
Right. But the Armory has concerts and one toy convention a year and one comics convention a year. I've done that, and anyway, so people are already walking around. And there's a lot of brand equity in the name Free Comic Book Day, which I'm going to comment on in a minute. So in terms of sales and people, it was our biggest day of the year. This is like a fact every single year.
That's cool.
And some people who, and about half the people who came in yesterday had not heard of Free Comic Book Day. And I have a little spiel, which I do. I have a printout on a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11, of the logo. And the logo says Free Comic Book Day, and then under it in blue, it says first Saturday in May. And so people come in and we say all day long, I said this 150 times and I don't mind. And 3 people said, do you mind saying that over and over? I say, welcome to Free Comic Book Day. And they look confused. And I say, do you know about Free Comic Book Day? And if I'm downstairs getting something from the basement or next door getting a snack, my other employees take over and we wave them over to where the free books are. We've cleared some shelves. We put up some blue tape so it's extra obvious, and we can say it's where the blue tape is, because
a few people steal these.
A few people are like, "So what's free?" I know there's that eye-rolling thing that some comic book store owners get really frustrated by, where people are like, "Is everything free? Like everything's free, right?"
Classic. It's like The Purge, but for comic books, basically.
Right. So Mark, to answer your question, it was great. And how about you guys? Did you make it to a store?
Mm-hmm. Chris can go because it'll be a quicker answer.
No, I was busy, unfortunately, yesterday. In the past, I've done free comic book days multiple times, but this particular year I couldn't. I was busy yesterday, but couldn't even do my show yesterday. I had to do it on Friday, so that's how busy I was. But I always love it. I always really enjoy it, and I always love grabbing, like, usually when I go to free comic book day, obviously I get the G.I. Joe title or relevant kind of related titles in all of the sort of like branding, like Transformers and that. Now obviously now we've got the ENERGON universe, which is fantastic, but like I'm a sucker for like any Turtles free comics, He-Man, Master Universe, and then any other little things that might pop up, like Thundercats sometimes every now and again, obviously Alien, any Predator comics, any of those sort of things. There's a few that I'll be like really excited for, and then I usually end up just grabbing a bunch of others just to see what they're like. I'm loving that Garfield comic, by the way, top left. I wonder if a certain Andrew Franks picked that up for Free Comic Book Day.
Boom has the Garfield license, and I was already partial to Boom before they published my comic, and I very much thank you. I very much appreciate that Garfield comic because it's really obvious from very far away what it is.
I know, it's the first one I noticed immediately.
And
good branding.
And there's designers and editors and retailers can go back and forth on what's the most eye-catching, and depends on how far away you are, or are you focusing on color or characters or type. But man, that Garfield Free Comic Book Day, Comics Giveaway Day is undeniable. Mark, how was your Free Comic Book Day?
Yeah, good. I went to Dave's Comics in Brighton and picked up a few. So Next Level, is that showing us being the right way around for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's a little sampler of some of the DC next sort of branded Next Level titles, sort of relaunches with sort of fun teams.
You're
Lobo,
You're on a new level there, mate.
Batgirl, Deathstroke, amongst others, and some connection to the world of G.I. Joe or Energon Universe. Jorge Corona, the artist on Lobo, having just recently been on Transformers. And the new artist of Batwoman being Danny, who was the artist of the Jinx silent special and former guest of the show. So I had been thinking about those titles. I've not yet bought them. So it was good to get a nice little taster. Master of the Universe. I'm not necessarily a big He-Man fan, but it was fun to see this, particularly because the writer, Tim Seeley, of course, a former G.I. Joe veteran from the Devil's Due years, and artist Andrew Kroenke, rhymed with donkey, the current ARA artist. So yeah, that was fun to see. Avengers, Armageddon, sort of lining up the new next event thing from Chip Zdarsky. I don't know that it necessarily won me over, but quite a nice book. An Amazing Spider-Man, I think, launching the next thing. Fun to see. What's his face? John Romita Jr. art on that one. Story didn't necessarily win me over, but nice that they tried. And an Alien sampler with a bit of Aliens, Predator, Planet of the Apes. Again, sort of preview of some of the titles to come in that world from the current license holder, Marvel.
Mark, I'm gonna editorialize for a moment. Can you hold up that last one again, close to the screen? Can you get closer where it says Comics Giveaway Day?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, folks, we're just going to talk about Free Comic Book Day. All right. So this logo is white letters and it says Comics Giveaway Day. Okay. Free Comic Book Day started in 2001. Joe Field of Flying Color Comics, the comic shop in America, had this idea. It became national. Diamond Comic Distributors, which we just call Diamond, which was the benevolent monopoly, that distributed most single issue comics in America and graphic novels to the direct market, not the book trade, not regular bookstores. Free Comic Book Day was that term was owned by Diamond. They owned a website and they ran it. And so all the publishers for all these years would make a special comic. In the case of Marvel and DC, sometimes 2 or 3 or even 4. Yes, 4, right? Because Marvel will have like Spider-Man 1 and X-Men 1, Kid Spider-Man 1, and then like Star Wars, or in this case, Alien. So all the stores that want to participate order these comics. They're not free for stores, but they're very discounted compared to what we normally buy comics at. And the website would list all the titles. And if you jump through 2 hoops, you could get your store listed on the Free Comic Book Day website as a participating store. And I never did because I didn't like that hoop. And also people were going to find us, right? We'd advertise, we'd have flyers, and people were just hopefully just walking by. Diamond went out of business in the last year and a half, and Universal, which is a Canadian distributor, bought some of the assets of Diamond, including Free Comic Book Day, both the trademark or service mark and the website, and the logo. And meanwhile, a bunch of publishers have left what was Diamond. And so there are 2 major distributors in America, plus 1 in Canada, that are distributing all the single issues from all these publishers, right? And if we're talking about America, half the comics come from Lunar and half the comics come from Penguin Random House. And I don't know the specifics, but a deal was not reached, right? So one of the publishers under the Penguin umbrella, or Penguin itself, which also owns Boom, couldn't make a deal with Universal. I don't know if it was about money or branding or timelines. I'm going to guess money. And so all the comic books from Marvel, Dark Horse, IDW, and Boom for this year's whatever you call the day were not technically Free Comic Book Day comics. They were Comics Giveaway Day comics. And it had a website and it had a store locator. My store was on that map because there was basically no hoop to jump through. And so if you look up close at this photo that Mark has on screen that I took at my store yesterday, half the comics say Free Comic Book Day and half the comics say Comics Giveaway Day. And then also one of the comics says Superman Day, because that was 2 weeks ago. And we had leftover free giveaway comics from Superman Day, which I'm not going to get into, but it's wonderful. And so this is confusing, and I would love Universal and Penguin Random House to set aside their differences and make a deal, because it's confusing. Period.
Mm-hmm. In the chat, we've got Irish Johnny B. Hey, guys, greetings from Ireland. And a friend of the show, Stephen Kelly, one of the international heroes, was helping out at Big Bang Comics in Ireland, which it must be one of the biggest comic book shops in Ireland and possibly Europe, I don't know. But they had stacks and stacks, an intimidating amount of free comic books that they were giving away. And other friend of the show, Jason Morrell of Order of Battle, was helping out at his local comic book shop in Nashville. So two extra friends of the show, sort of also directly sort of getting involved with Free Comic Book Day. And Jim Smith said that he picked up Garfield and Motu and let his disabled brother-in-law pick the rest. It's a nice family occasion as well. Go along, bring someone along, and try and get them indoctrinated into comics.
I want to say 2 more quick things about Free Comic Book Day, and then Mark, if I could have you put on those next 2 images, and I'll talk about 2 other comics from this week. Free Comic Book Day, folks, stores are not allowed to display or give away Free Comic Book Day comics before the day itself. And on the day itself, stores are not allowed to sell these free giveaway comics or make obtaining them conditional on buying something. So you can't say, oh, if you buy something, you get a Free Comic Book Day comic. Stores can make up their own rules. I know that some stores, they've got piles and stacks everywhere, and it's like, oh, you sort of take what you want. Some stores, it's like limit 2 or limit 3 or limit 2 from this side of the table and limit 2 from that side of the table. My buddy in New York, a store that he goes to, you have to go to the counter. They don't have them out for display. You have to ask, and they give you one at random, which is amazingly bad. So he goes to another store also. Okay. I just wanted to hold up a comic and just give a quick call out to, since we're talking about the Energon universe, Void Rivals co-creator Lorenzo De Felici, who drew the first, was it 2 years? Year and a half of that series. And then he also did a series for Image called Chroma. Lorenzo De Felici had a new issue #1 come out this week at comic book stores. This is not related to Free Comic Book Day. It's called Red Roots. I'm holding issue 1 right now. It's double-sized. It is $4.99, and it's good. It's horror, and it tells 2 parallel stories, and it looks like Void Rivals, except that it's not in space. It's in a lady's house, and at a base where a guy with a gun is infiltrating. Felici writes and draws and colors, and it's good. Okay, so just laterally, since we're talking about the Energon universe, and then Mark, could you put on one of the Free Comic Book Day comics yesterday, everyone? The technical title, right? The cover says Flux House Double Feature. The actual technical title is Mind Management, that's MGMT, Mind Management Fort Psycho, Free Comic Book Day 2026. This is Matt Kint's imprint at Oni Press, right? Flux House. And half of this Free Comic Book Day comic is the next Mind Management story, which Kint writes and draws. And then the second half is a 8-page story written by Kint and drawn by Brian Hurt. That's with 2 T's, Brian Hurt. I'm a big fan of Brian Hurt. He drew Hard Time at DC 20 years ago with Steve Gerber, who's got a big G.I. Joe connection. You might know Brian Hurt from The Sixth Gun, which is great. And this, I had no idea what this was until I opened up yesterday morning, right as Free Comic Book Day was starting. It's this team. It's going to be a 12-issue series starting in August. And it's this team that looks kind of like G.I. Joe. And there's this adversary group, which looks kind of like Cobra. Can you go to the next slide, Mark? And they've got this vehicle that looks kind of like a G.I. Joe vehicle, right? It's like, well, there's a black lady, green beret. It's like, well, that kind of looks like Stalker. And there's a lady with black hair and glasses. It's not quite Baroness, sort of Baroness and Jinx and, I don't know, Johnny Blaze. And then there's someone with like a tech helmet. And I was tickled because for years I thought, man, Brian Hurt should draw G.I. Joe. And now I really think if all the wonderful artists at Skybound like stop drawing the Energon Universe G.I. Joe, I've got a suggestion for who should draw G.I. Joe. Okay, that's all.
That vehicle, like if a Vampire Striker and a Badger had a love child, that's what it would look like.
Yes, there's a rear view of it. It looks more like the Hammer and the Desert Fox had a love child, but I agree with you. And then I'm just going to hold up. The final page is a 1-page ad, which with what I think is the cover, right? Infinite Bullets, 0 Fs, F-U-C-K-S. Fort Psycho, Matt Kint, Brian Hurt, 12 issues starting in August. And now we can talk about the actual Energon universe.
All around the skybound world, are you looking for some G.I. Joe? There's Autobots and Decepticons and creatures from the sacred ring. All we need is Energon, sweet Energon. There'll be Energon everywhere. There'll be robots swinging, aliens killing, and Decepticons in the streets. Yeah!
Cool. So,
Doesn't matter. Oh, sorry, I thought I was going to.
well, there was a longer version. That believe
There's
it or
a
not, that was
longer version?
that was the short version. So before we get too deep into the free comic book day, I have put out a video which gives a sort of summary of years 1 to 3, the continuity of the Energon titles, the crossovers, the connective tissue, and the road to M.A.S.K. I think my sort of overall summary is that most of those sort of lanes, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Void Rivals, are relatively self-contained. You don't really need to read one book without, you can read one book in isolation. You don't need to read everything, but it's sort of there are these touch point moments that just make the overall world a little bit richer. So I've check out the whole video, but it sort of shows the key points where we have those connective moments in the Energon universe for year 1, year 2, and year 3. And
look at those graphics, Mark. Those are great.
And year 3, a key part of that is really the road to M.A.S.K, building up to the Energon Universe Special, and then on into M.A.S.K issue 1, out very soon. So for the deep dive on that one, head on over to the video elsewhere on the Talking Joe channel. So let's get into the free comic book day proper, and let's kick that off with looking at the things that they stick on the front covers of those books.
Let's have a look at the covers in the gallery.
Energon Universe Free Comic Book Day Special 2026 cover.
Favorite.
It was solicited with a black classified cover because initially M.A.S.K was still a secret. So it was revealed, of course, that M.A.S.K was coming. And when that came, when that veil was lifted on the M.A.S.K secrets, we did get to find out.
When that mask was lifted?
Yeah, let's say M.A.S.K was lifted. Why not? Have a peek under the mask.
All right. So, Mark, the slide you have is for the M.A.S.K comic book, not the free comic book.
Oh, right. I did, didn't I? Yep.
Okay.
My point. One of my points is the M.A.S.K issue number 1 wraparound front cover looks quite similar to the free comic book day front cover.
Yes. They're both cool. I do think having the compositions and relatively similar and the color schemes the same is a small mistake. But they're both beautiful, so it's I guess a good kind of mistake. All right, cover A is drawn and colored by Pye Parr, who will be the series artist, though not color artist, on the ongoing M.A.S.K. We are looking at Matt Tracker, who's wearing his mask, right? And he's activating his M.A.S.K ID communicator watch. He's sitting in his what's the old name of this car? Thunderhawk. Did that survive 40 years of trademark? Is that still the Thunderhawk?
Yeah, I think Thunderhawk's the only one that made it. Thunderhawk and it was Rhino and Switchblade that didn't make it. The others are okay, I think.
Okay.
In that first wave, anyway, of figures from loyal subjects.
All right, so he's in the Thunderhawk, which is his red Camaro, but the doors open up like a
Gullwing.
Sorry?
Gullwing doors.
Gullwing, thank you. Like a bird. The sky.
Or a DeLorean.
The sky is purple and blue behind him. The ground beneath him, it's hard to tell sort of where he's parked, but it's sort of a light maroon and green. There's an explosion behind him. And help me out. What is Miles Mayhem's vehicle?
Switchblade.
Now, okay, the Switchblade, and it used to be called.
It used to be called Switchblade. Now it's called Attack Helicopter.
Okay.
In fact, in the comic, they call it a different name again. I think it's a Jet Blade or something like that, or
Right,
Blade
okay.
Jet.
So there's this blue helicopter hovering diagonally, menacingly, with a red cockpit above and behind this guy and his cool sports car on this cover. And there's a really saturated look to these colors that feels like cartoon animation, and And it is a wraparound cover. So you don't see the bad guy vehicle until you look on the back.
And Pye Parr shared this extra image, which has got a bit more of the car, which is cropped on the cover itself, with an added background logo. And let's sort of explore a little bit of Pye Parr, because I've got some graphics of his. So he has been contributing various Hasbro / Energon related covers, including the cover to G.I. Joe issue 19, with the Thunderhawk and Matt Tracker on the front cover, and that cool cover of Hound with Clutch shooting this burst, which then features Hound's face in that sort of burst of fire, which is great. And for lovers of Pye Parr's art, do check out his previous series called Petrolhead, which was a creator-owned series, very much featuring big, cars, in a techno future. So really, you can definitely see why.
Involved. When they,
why the commissioning editor would have seen a series like that and thought, yes, let's get that guy a mask, because when it comes to technology and exciting action with vehicles, he has got that in spades. Then we've got some extra covers which will be out on Wednesday with the paid for iteration of the Energon Universe Special.
Okay, so cover A is going to get the free comic book day version is going to get reused with almost the exact same sort of outside look, right? The one I'm gonna can you zoom in on me, Mark? The one that everyone got yesterday at free comic book day under issue number 1 says FCBD exclusive, which is to say free. And an almost identical, okay, you don't need me full screen. Almost identical version will be for sale in a couple of days, and that'll have a cover price on it. All right, cover B is reflects the G.I. Joe story that takes place within Hawk. We're in a bathroom. The camera is a little bit higher than waist height, and we're looking past Hawk, who's looking into a mirror, and the reflection is Zartan, who's taking the same pose, but of course left, right, flipped, because he's in the mirror. And something about this bathroom feels a little grimy, industrial, right? There's a spare light bulb hanging as a light. There's no lampshade. It's not a chandelier. It's not a fluorescent. It's just a light bulb hanging, illuminated from the ceiling. There's a cord in the foreground just behind the logo. The sink has some by the faucet or a part of a machine gun, a clip and a bunch of bullets or bullet casings. Am I seeing those right?
Mm-hmm.
And then since we're looking up a little bit, the space behind Zartan, gentlemen, how would you describe that background behind Zartan in the reflection?
Skylight, maybe?
Industrial, I'd say. Or...
Yeah, it sort of feels like a slightly unfinished level of the pit, right? Or like a sort of the part of the Pentagon where they don't host guests. But not a gas station bathroom, but not your apartment bathroom.
Yeah, it's like
like concrete shell of a not quite fully furnished pit, perhaps. And this cover is by Howard Porter and Romulo Fajardo Jr. Next up is the Transformers cover by interior artist Jason Howard,
who both draws and colors this one. We have a mystery woman who's crouched in a forest at a stream, and she's got her hand out, and water is dripping from her hand into this stream. In the stream, faintly, is the Autobot logo, and it's unclear if that's like a physical thing there or just sort of an impression, like that's what she's thinking. She's holding a red sword, jagged piece of metal that looks kind of like a sword. There are sort of vines and trees and a growth around her, maybe a waterfall. It's very blue. There's some birds flying. We don't know who this woman is. We've never seen her before that we know of. And her costume looks sort of like some torn clothes, like she's been there for a while, but also tech, like she's wearing armor. Like I don't think she's a Mega Marine from G.I. Joe 1992. I don't think she's a Nebulon from like a Transformers Target Master. But there's something about her that sort of agrees with Transformers, but also doesn't. She's seemingly Caucasian. She's got dark hair and she's looking up and off as if, she's thinking about some mystery. I think she's thinking, I bet no one knows who I am.
And let's speculate a bit more when we get into the insides on that particular and just discuss that particular story. Cover D is a 1 in 25.
Drawn and colored by Conor Hughes, who drew the third arc of Void Rivals and is coming back for the 5th arc after the Quintesson War. This is a mysterious robot, looks like a Transformer, does have Junkion colors and aspects to it, but is not recognizable. We are looking up at this character who is standing on a ledge. The ledge looks, let's say, Cybertronian or Quintesson in the architecture, the spire that's behind this character, who's also got like a tattered cape or cloak, and is holding under its left arm a Cobra Law Royal Guard helmet, which you might not see at first blush. Behind them is either night sky or outer space sky that's sort of blue, purple, black with some yellow specks that, now that I think about it, aren't stars. I think those are like cinders that are flying up from sort of below. And this character is sort of looking down past us and is slightly underlit. Cool cover. I also don't know who this person is when I first saw this cover.
I think the helmet's meant to be attached to his belt, but
okay. So he's not holding it against his waist. Okay.
So next up is a 1 in 50 cover E.
This is drawn and colored or maybe painted by Cedric Poulat. This is help me out, guys. Who's
Gloria
this
Baker.
mask? This is it's even there on the cover. My vanity license plate says Tim. It does not. This is Gloria Baker from Venom, right? She's
from
Mask. Good guy.
Warfield's the bad lady.
Sorry.
Vanessa Warfield is the bad lady.
Okay. I'm going to start to get to know the Mask characters all over again when this darn comic book finally starts. All right, so everything about this cover says 80s. The rendering on her looks just a smidge like the poster art of Drew Struzan, who did some Indiana Jones and Star Wars posters. The background is like 80s motif, sunset with like purple and pink and orange gradient sky with sort of faded purple silhouette. Palm trees and buildings. She and her car are on a Tron grid that's dark blue with sort of electric thin blue lines. She's wearing her mask costume. She's curling her hair behind her ear. She's got her yellow helmet mask under her arm, and that's cool. Folks, if you're thinking
Aura.
Her code name is Aura. Or her helmet is
Aura.
Her helmet is Aura. Okay, right. Just a quick reminder: Mask characters, they have regular names, but the code name.
I've got another level for this one, Tim.
Okay.
So they all had actual code names as well early on, and they only show up in, I want to say, like, it's like the M.A.S.K comics in the UK, maybe in the US as well. But there was a special like UK M.A.S.K comics situation, and on their bios they had not only their names, they've actually got a code name. Like, for example, I think randomly Brad Turner's code name is Chopper, believe it or not. So they actually have code names, but they've kind of been like not utilized. I think it's in the story Bible as well for the the animation. So they have them, but they've never really ever been used other than this one time in bios and stuff. It's
So
crazy.
they got a name, a code name,
And
a
the
code name
helmet's
for
got a
their
name.
mask, and
the
a
vehicle.
code name for the
Vehicle.
vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then ironically, what actually people actually call them is the blue one.
The good lady, the bad lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, since here's a sexy woman in a skin tight costume, and she does have cleavage, and she's standing in a little bit of a sexy pose. All of her weight is on her left leg, so her left hip is sticking out a little bit. And Mark and I have talked a lot about Baroness variant covers, and sort of the continuum, or the either or of, like, this is a character and I believe it, or this feels a little exploitative and it's like too sexy and distracting. And here's a nice example of a character who is sexy and alluring, but this cover does not seem to be about her hips or her breasts.
I think it fits with the style, like how they've gone with that sort of like 80s Miami sort of kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it makes sense in this sort of style to kind of like do something like that. I think in other cases, like you've mentioned there, like some of the Baroness covers, you look at them and you kind of go, that's a little bit unnecessary. It's not like necessary. Doesn't quite fit what's happening here in the vibe. But I think if you're going to go with that sort of 80s Miami Vice kind of look, then I think it kind of it's sort of, you can kind of accept it a little bit in a sense. I think she looks great as well. It's a really good cover, I think.
Mark, were there any more covers?
Cedric Poulard, the artist, up to this point, his calling card has been multiple Baroness retailer variants, and this is a Skybound official cover. There is one retailer variant which is unconnected to the insides of the comic. It is a picture of a big transform, one of those joined together robots.
Combiners.
Combiner. And it's probably got a name.
Is it Bruticus? Is it that one? Or is it like Ruination or whatever it's called?
This is all of the Combaticons as Bruticus sitting down in kind of a throne. At a little bit of an angle, we're looking up at him. No discernible background. Maybe sort of a sense of some like very, very, very out of focus sort of Cybertronian backgrounds in the building, but I think that's more just sort of tricks of color and light. And
I love the style. I love the way it's it's drawn or even painted. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this.
But we have not seen Bruticus much in the Transformers comic. We have not seen him recently. He's not in this comic. So I'm gonna call this. I should get a big red. I should get a big red ink stamper with like a slightly distressed sort of look to the letters. I'll just make it in Photoshop and send it to Mark. And I'll get a sound effect for like ink stamp.
Yeah.
And I'll send it to Mark, and then Mark can also have like a sound effect. So when I say this word, the next time we do this can all come together. I'm going to label this confusing.
Oh, Mark, by the way, Tim and I have already filled in a lot of the information of this particular character. For extra points, Mark, do you know all of the Combaticons' names?
There's Tankticon and
that's a GoBot.
Footerbot and Shark to Arm and Backpack Patron.
You're not far off with Backpack. Onslaught, Vortex, Brawl, Blastoff was the Backpack one I was thinking of, and Swindle make up the Combaticons. Okay. Just so that you're aware fully now. And now, next time we talk about Bruticus, you'll know everything that needs to be known about the.
Now I know.
Combiner. Yeah.
And knowing is halfway to forgetting it again. This particular cover. This particular cover was released by Unknown Comics. I do know who they are. They're called Unknown Comics. And the artist is Ivan Tao. So that is us done with the covers. Let's get into the interiors. We'll cover off these sort of one by one. We've got 4 stories here. And the issue starts off with the mask. The Mask story brought to us by Dan Waters, writer, and Pye Parr, artist and colorist. As Tim notes, he's doing the colors here, but not necessarily for the ongoing series, where he will be colored by somebody else. So it'll be an interesting compare and contrast against that issue. And let's get into a plot breakdown. Okay. One sentence or two sentence summary. Miles Mayhem is. Oh, hold on.
Where's the music?
I'm about to give some spoilers. So let's make sure that I've given fair warning with one of these.
Watch out! There's spoilers ahead! Turn back before it's too late!
Any excuse.
The very short prop breakdown. Miles Mayhem is recruiting his team. Vanessa Warfield in Rio Lindo, Sly Rax from a Russian prison. Meanwhile, Matt Tracker is building a mask network himself. Let's get into it. Where do you want to start? The
beginning.
It was definitely the big story in terms of real estate for this particular issue. So if nothing else, this was a mask issue. It gave us close to a full story. Did you count the pages of this one? 18. Yes. So very close to the 20 full page full story that we'd expect to see.
Just a quick bit of context, folks. This Energon Universe special is a 30-page comic, which you could get yesterday for free. The Mask story is 18 pages, followed by a 4-page Transformers story, a 6-page Void Rivals story, and a 6-page G.I. Joe story. Just as a little comparison, the Matt Kint comic that I held up and talked about before from Free Comic Book Day has 17 pages of comics in it, plus 3 or 4 pages of like ads for the things and like descriptions for the things you're about to read about. And so Skybound is like spending money on this. They're spending money to make money. Now they'll make it back, I think, with the version that's not free. That'll be on sale the following Wednesday. But overall, this comic feels like last year's, a little different than many of the other Free Comic Book Day offerings.
Definitely stands out, doesn't it?
This feels like a really sort of premium offer, and one that you would be more than happy to spend money on. It's got great stories, great art, great writing, and leaves you wanting more from the rest. And a lot of the other Free Comic Book Days just leave you a bit wanting, that they're not necessarily satisfying in their own right, and often they feel like a bit of just a teaser for a little preview to kind of buy the real comic if you want a proper story kind of thing. So it's on a different level, I think, this offering compared to most of the other Free Comic Book Day comics.
All right, so Chris, jump in. What do you think about this Mask story?
Really impressed. I think to basically, even though we've been getting sort of like little teases of Matt Tracker and Miles Mayhem, I say little teases, they've been full-on characters, and they've been getting decent development in the previous issues. To get like a sort of lead in before we've even had issue 1 of Mask, this significant and this focused is, I just feel like we're being spoiled. I feel like I wouldn't even say it's taken any heat off issue 1 of Mask. I think you could argue that we've got like a lot of Matt and a lot of Miles. Now we're getting a lot more of the sort of like universe of Mask with this particular story. What the hell does that leave us for Mask issue 1? But what I think they've done here, which I think is really clever, is they've done a lot of building. They've done a lot of stuff so that when you get issue 1, I'm sure it'll be able to stand alone as an issue, and people will be able to pick it up and go, I'm starting to read about Mask right now for the first time in however many years. But at the same time, people that have been following this have got such a great sort of like skybound history of what these characters are all about before we've even got into issue 1. And like, the beauty part of like seeing that Mask from Matt Tracker's point of view, spoiler alert a little bit, we get to see a little bit of what that organization is already kind of set up and ready to do. And like in terms of what Venom are doing, not named as Venom, I think they're named as is that Skywatch or something? I forget what the name is now.
Shadow Watch, isn't
Shadow
it?
Watch. Yeah, that's
that was the name that sort of they were operating on under General Flag. So he said that are they trying to create another Shadow Watch outside of that kind of
We're
remit?
not getting Venom yet, but I'm sure we'll get Venom when it comes to it in issue 1. Why do I keep doing that? But I think it's a phenomenal story. I think it's highlighting two of the main Venom characters, obviously more so than anyone else, but it's really giving them like a completely different sort of backstory and depth, and I don't know, and it's done. I refer to it as the sort of Larry Hama file card effect of like, giving a character loads and loads of backstory in a very small space of time, and they've done that really well with Sly Rax here, who obviously we see kind of like introduced to that character in the opening, although technically we're actually introduced to Vanessa first, aren't we? Sorry, but I love it. I think it's great, and I'm all for it, and I can't wait for issue 1 already.
I think it's really super shrewd, because we've sort of been seeded this Mask story in the pages of Transformers and G.I. Joe and introducing us to the world of Mask and getting us invested. Then there's the spin-off as a new title, and it would be just so easy to go, right, it was fun seeing them in the pages of G.I. Joe, but I'm not a Mask fan, so I'm happy not to pick up that particular title. Whereas by having this sort of issue 1 in all but name as part of Free Comic Book Day, and actually, getting that as part of your, the comic that you would really want to buy anyway as part of this ENERGON universe, you get to see actually, this creative team is really good. This story is like really interesting. I might not have gone and bought it Mask issue 1, but now having seen what they can do and the story that they're building, I'm really curious to see where it will lead. So I think it's really clever.
That's another good point as well. Like it's the this is a free comic book. Like basically it is. And whenever I've done Free Comic Book Day, yes, I've been excited to get like new little tiny stories here, there, and everywhere from like cutesy little things or like fun little things. But then when you get something like this for free, and it's like a really cohesive, world building, well written, beautifully illustrated, kind of like story, it's like, damn, like we are really getting it. It feels significant, and it felt significant last year. The ENERGON Universe special felt significant last year. It doesn't feel just like if you don't pick it up, don't worry about it. I feel like you need to get this. Like, and I'm glad that they're also selling it after the fact, so that people who couldn't get it at Free Comic Book Day can still, enjoy it and add it to their narrative. It's amazing.
Yeah, it feels like these Free Comic Book Days are like this pivotal crossover moment where the ENERGON universe meets and then spins out again.
Yep.
So it does definitely feel like an essential part of that ENERGON universe kind of reading experience.
But Mark, technically, they didn't meet in this ENERGON universe special. I agree with you. It feels like they did. I mean, that happened last year because the lead story was the G.I. Joe story with Hound and Clutch. And one of my comments about this year's is that because there were now 4 stories across 30 pages, the stories were shorter. And so when I read this, I thought, Mask is going to be great. Mask is going to be great. But I really want there to be a meaty G.I. Joe story, particularly since
this is a good point, actually, Tim, because I was going to say this at the start of the show, when Mark was talking about his going through the 1 to 3 years of the ENERGON universe, I am very much an all-in kind of person. Like, most of us are like collectors and toy collectors and what have you. That thing of like, I'm going to focus on this and soak in every single element of it I can possibly get. So for me, I'm reading Void Rivals, I'm reading Transformers, I'm literally reading all those comics. Now, I probably would have read Transformers anyway, but I wouldn't necessarily have given a crap about Void Rivals, to be completely honest. The fact that they hooked me in and it's really bloody good is just a really nice byproduct of that. But like they hooked me in on that because I'm that the way I am. I know so many people who are not reading Void Rivals, not reading Transformers, just doing the G.I. Joe comics. And I kind of think sometimes, like, how do you manage to do that? Because I could not, knowing fully well something is happening in this universe, not have eyes on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's really interesting that those sort of personalities exist on both sides. I mean,
this will not be the last time I say this on Talking Joe. I'll try and hold it for several months because it's a weird fantasy. Last Saturday at my store, we sold 5 different Invincible compendia. Those are the $65 1,000 page collections that each have like 40 or 50 issues. And we sold, a kid came up with 1 and 2 and 3, to which I had to say, well, don't forget Universe, because that's also important. Or like, don't forget Tech Jacket. And then later in the day, someone brought up 2 and 3. And so I was thinking about this ENERGON Universe comic, and I thought, oh, in a year or two, Skybound should do an ENERGON Universe compendium, right?
Yeah.
Where all of the story, like the first arc of Void Rivals, and then the first arc of Transformers, or maybe, and then the Duke miniseries.
They might even be planning that. Do you know what I mean?
I hope so. And I immediately started imagining what the cover would look like, because I have, okay, so the Walking Dead compendia look a certain way, and the Invincible compendia have white backgrounds and white spines. Well, the ENERGON Universe logo isn't as tall as the Invincible logo, even though it's 2 lines. Well, it's just one character. It's like Invincible, and he's flying. Well, would you put like one Void Rivals character on the cover of ENERGON Universe?
That's
compendium?
what it would look like.
One. Well, okay, yeah, maybe. So, and I thought, is this the way to get people who haven't been reading all of these to read all these? Because certainly when there's, 3 comics running, and one of them is essential G.I. Joe, and one's a maybe Transformers, and one's an unknown quantity and doesn't seem essential Void Rivals, it's easy for people to say, I'll just get 1 or 2 every month.
I get it as well, like from a financial point of view as well, like if people are picking and choosing, and I understand that totally. It's just, for me, I'm so not built that way, and it's like, I've got to find out, I've got to know what's going on in this universe,
And then there's sort of this second chance when all the stories start coming out in softcover, and we know some people that haven't been reading Void Rivals or Transformers, but are catching up in the paperbacks, and now there are these hardcovers which each have 2 paperbacks worth, and those compendia are really expensive, but it ends up being like 80 cents per issue.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so back to this actual comic book.
I was going to say, actually, Tim, just to on a point you were talking about, that it's not, sure, it feels like it's a kind of a convergence or a crossover event without it necessarily completely being it. But let's not forget, for Mask specifically, the Miles Mayhem story was a Transformers story. Matt Tracker story was a G.I. Joe story.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're meeting here in this fourth story now.
This is why it feels like a crossover, but no G.I. Joe characters show up in Mask, no Transformers show up in the G.I. Joe story, etc. But yes, absolutely, and it's all encompassed, that there are all these different covers, and the title.
Although to that point, can I talk about some of the Easter eggs or the I Spies in the Mask story specifically? Here we go.
Are we going through page by page?
I spy with my little eye.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so
I should have known there was going to be a theme tune, shouldn't I?
we can do it page by page, yeah. But so in Mask, on page 1 of the story, I think we get a whole bunch of Easter egg setups. So we get explosions, which are Chris's favorite things. But we get setup of General Villavaca, who is the antagonistic general from G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, featuring in issue 69 and surrounding issues. One of the generals in Sierra Gordo, Sierra Gordo being the country with the fictional capital of Rio Lindo as the location. Again, on page 1, fictional location from G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, including title The Last Plane from Rio Lindo, G.I. Joe issue 13. And on page 1 again, Easter egg, we get a reference to Extensive Enterprises. So obviously
as I like to call them, because they've both got EE as their logos. Yeah, really cool. Also, did you get the sitting on the toilet homage as well?
No. Oh, is that
it's not an homage. I just wanted
Lethal
to say,
Weapon?
I just wanted to say
Is
sitting
it
on the
Lethal
toilet.
Weapon?
Yeah,
Where they've got a bomb on the toilet.
Yeah,
I said bomb.
I thought this was a Jurassic Park reference.
Yes, it is.
Swapping out the dinosaur for a explosion. And it's a little bit further ahead, but on page 6, they also reference
page two.
Okay, page 2. Oh, and in the newspaper, we got robots disguised.
Miles Mayhem is sitting at a cafe drinking coffee, reading a newspaper, and the front page has a photo of a burning villa, and it says Rio Lindo explosion or Rio Lindo something, and then above it, Mark is describing in the sort of call out section, it says robots disguised to tease an article that's elsewhere in the newspaper. All right, sorry, please continue, Mark.
So the final Easter egg that I wanted to point out was they refer to the jerk from Darklonia on page 6, obviously being what's his face, Darklon. Presumably.
Yeah.
Or it could be just another jerk from the G.I. Joe fictional location of Darklonia.
There's plenty of
so
them.
We get a meet cute of Miles Mayhem and Vanessa Warfield in this Rio Linden sort of cafe outside. Shall we talk about Vanessa Warfield and Whip? Chris,
so
you're the mask expert.
Whip is the name of her helmet, right?
Correct.
And her power. I've only recently in the last few years watched 10 episodes of Mask.
I don't recall what her...
it makes like an electrical strand that she can wrap around things and like grab, right?
Yeah,
it's
she
like
does.
Makes,
it's like a Wonder Woman lasso style.
But from Cyclops' visor.
Right. I'm trying to think of what her like her kind of hidden code name is. And this is going to bug me now for the rest of the day unless I can figure it out. But before I look for that, this is a really cool character. Obviously, Manta is really dope as well as a vehicle. I really have always enjoyed her helmet design. It's very, very different to a lot of the other helmets in Mask. Like her and Gloria definitely got specifically. I mean, they're all very unique. But like, there's always a bit of like a sort of a design theme running through most of them. But Vanessa's is just so crazy. It almost looks like you're looking at the back of the helmet when you're looking at the front of the helmet. But I quite like that, and I think it really gives this really interesting sort of silhouette, very cool like look. And I've always been really into Vanessa Warfield's helmet. Kitty said.
While we're looking at page 5. I think the real star of this story is not a Mask character, but it's Pye Parr's art, and I'm going to be more specific. Pye Parr's coloring. Coloring is so gorgeous, and the difference between what's highlight and what's in shadow, and Parr's sense of color temperature. So we're looking at page 5, and on the right side of the helmet and the amazingly drawn briefcase. Like the red, orange, and the blue for the helmet, and then the green. But then on the front of it, where the shadow is, like there's now some purple mixed into the blue because it's like reflected light from the purple cushion. But
that
then
might be
outer...
the best briefcase I've ever seen in a comic in my entire life.
Seriously,
genuinely.
It's not just drawn well. It's designed well. And then the front edge of the briefcase is green, but now there's a lot of blue mixed into it because
I can
just
see padding. Like I got like a proper tactile, like.
So if you go to the previous page, we see it closed. The third panel on page 4, Mayhem's hand is on it, and it's got like a part of it that sticks up because the helmet is upright in the briefcase. That's not sideways. And this is my just very, very small nitpick about this whole comic book. Pye Parr's art is so great. Panels 1 and 2, the briefcase is tall. Yeah. Panel 3, the briefcase is suddenly too short to have that handle in it, and then a helmet in it. And then on the next page, page 5, it's sort of big again. But objection, Your Honor, noted. By
the way, her name's Ice Queen. Her code name is Ice Queen.
Are you serious?
Genuinely.
We all scream for Ice Queen.
Queen.
Can I get some whip on my Ice Queen?
Exactly. Cool whip.
It'll cost you 99 pence.
So I appreciate the sort of let's take a step back. Dan Waters writes this story, is the writer of Mask, and I feel we need to sort of say this again a couple more times in the coming weeks of our podcasts. Dan Waters is already part of the Energon universe, having written Destro, and has been writing good comics the last 5 years. He's writing Nightwing right now, and so I was, I sort of keep if I don't take a moment to remind myself exactly who's writing all the Energon universes, I keep thinking like, oh yeah, isn't Joshua Williamson writing them all? Like, no, isn't Kirkman writing them all? Like, no, they're sharing. Oh, there's this new guy who's writing the other one. Now that there's 4, one for every week. Wait, he's not new. He's been around, and I don't know. I haven't read enough Dan Waters comics yet to sort of have a sense of how he writes. I have read a lot of Robert Kirkman comics, and I have a sense of how he writes. I don't know that I can phrase it very well, but I sort of know like how much I'm going to get out of character and surprise and plot, like A stories and B stories. And this is like a general sense I can do with some writers who I've read a lot of. And I'm not there yet with Dan Waters, but like Destro was interesting and thoughtful. And
love that.
I read one of his Batman things, and that was great. And
sometimes you can just enjoy what they put out, Tim, without overthinking it.
No, sir, I co-host a podcast, sir. And sir, I cannot enjoy
I know.
these.
I'm only messing you around.
But I want to talk about sort of writing, and if we're using film terms, the directing of this 18 page story, because it starts with like we're hearing
we're putting a team together is what's happening here.
You think at the beginning that we're hearing at the beginning of these captions, you think we're hearing a newscaster, but this is actually Miles Mayhem reading the newspaper article, which is sort of different and unusual, and I sort of missed it until I just started this sentence. And so the first page, we don't know who yet, and then the second page, you can figure it out if you know Miles Mayhem's costume because of his gloves and his cuffs. But we're just introduced to this place and this, Mayhem, not the guy, and the concept. And then on page 3, I'll call on you in one moment, Chris. And then on page 3,
I have an issue with something. Go on.
And then on page 3, we're at this cafe, and Waters and Pye Parr are still withholding the characters. We don't get this sort of proper reveal for Miles Mayhem, who's the driver of this story, until halfway through page 3. And then we get Warfield. But it's not until page 5 that we see a mask. And Waters didn't invent this kind of withholding. But it's interesting that for a free comic book day comic where you don't have a lot of space, and we're used to these like 6-page excerpts of other, you guys were alluding to like less satisfying free comic book day comics where it's like, well, this is just 6 pages of an issue that came out last month. And it's like, go pay for the issue, idiot. And at some point today, I just need to once again talk about Marvel's Secret Wars free comic book day comic from like 2016, because that's like the best example of like not a great free comic book day comic. So I think it's always fun to start with the villain first, not the hero. I think it's fun to withhold the visual reveal of the hero or villain I think about the Indiana Jones movies. You don't see him until you've seen his back, you've seen his hand. And then that, just as Miles Mayhem is narrating what he's done, then it transitions to Matt Tracker tracking what Mayhem has done. Okay, Chris, you had an issue.
Yeah, go back a panel, please, Mark. Sorry, and again, please. Right, you're in where we were. You're in Rio Lindo. You are the most wanted man by, let's say, the U.S. military, and deeper than that, like Black Ops and all that kind of stuff. You have just escaped like a situation where you were effectively going to be put in prison, yet you are wearing your full uniform for identification. And I know, like, this is just obviously for the reader, so we know that we're looking at Miles Mayhem, but I think that can be done. It's done with the conversation anyway. She finds out that it's Miles Mayhem, and she even has a quip that he's like, "Aren't you a little mentally unwell?" Yeah. Which could answer my question here. But why wouldn't you be in more of a discreet disguise?
Counter.
And my thought process was Rio Lindo might be one of those places where it's necessarily sort of like a no-go area for, like US military, or even like being able to kind of like spy would be really difficult. So he feels like a more relaxed situation. I think I would have put Miles in a different uniform. I'd have put him in some other clothing, a little bit more casual maybe, because he stands out like a sore thumb for me in this particular scenario. But yeah, go for the counter.
He's a mentally unwell narcissist, I think, who sort of revels in the theatrical uniform, I think, is probably the take. Tim?
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that answer.
Chris, you started to answer with my counter anyway, that maybe we can't go to Rio Lindo, but maybe it's a step further. Maybe this is one of those countries where an American criminal could specifically link up with either the government or corrupt local officials and enjoy their life and continue to plot or plan. I do think if he's not going to be in his costume, I don't know. I feel like this is a turtleneck kind of guy.
Yeah, tactical turtleneck.
Yeah,
I also think it would have been a good opportunity.
Rio Linden weather.
It'd have been a good opportunity.
Well, he's wearing a 3-piece suit, a 2-piece suit.
It'd have been a good opportunity to put him in his alternate clothing and deco. I wonder if we'll see that at some point. We'll see.
Wait, tell us what that is.
Yeah, he's got like a maroon and black number that he wears for another toy release. So it's the same. It's just literally the same design. He's still wearing a suit.
Okay. So it's the real world answer where the three of us live is that he has to be recognizable. This is a small compromise that Skybound will make. Or
I'm cool with it. It was funny to me because I was thinking like in a film, I think if you were to see this in a movie, they definitely would have cashed him up, or maybe put him in a slightly less out there.
How about this? Maybe you draw two sort of local guards or tough guys in the background, and they're his muscle, so no one's going to bother him.
So he can just do whatever he wants.
Just have a visual cue that he actually can walk around freely.
That's all.
I like the explanation that he's a nut. We were talking about color earlier, and what this put in my mind, which is a very specific reference, is the work of Sam Moore, who is a New Zealander who goes under the name Ugly Ink, who is a big G.I. Joe fan, and I have interviewed on this channel, and he did a book called The Traveler's Guide to Flagoria, which was a sort of an outlandish adventure story. But yeah, not a million miles away from this style, and he's got a very nice painterly style to his color, which uses Copic colors and sort of builds it up with layers of color to create that sort of brightness and the shade. And I wonder if Pye Parr is sort of influenced or using this sort of similar technique, or influenced by that same sort of analog.
I've always been amazed by the Copic color people, where they can go over another color with another color to get that shading and stuff. And I've done it. Just the page just disintegrates. It's like too much ink on one page, mate.
And you've got to be very brave to do it on the page as well.
Totally.
It's
totally.
There's something subtle happening across this story, and Waters, I think, gives Parr a very sort of open and kind of a very open opportunity. There's like color scripting going on where Parr is really paying attention to what color the light is in each scene. So the first page, the color sort of the light is overwhelmed by these explosions. But page 3, right, the light is very yellow, and then we're at their cafe, and then page 6, right, like certainly when we're talking to what's his name,
Alex Sector.
The light is very green because he's in the pit at G.I. Joe in the IDW run. I mean, he's at a control console somewhere inside. And then on page 7, the light is very blue, right? It's this winter, and then 3 pages ahead, we're in prison, and the light is not just very red; it's only red. But within the red of this prison scene, there's all of this variety. And like, I'm okay with whether it's old school or whether you're thinking of like, isn't there that scene in the Ultimates that Brian Hitch draws where like all the GIs are in like a plane and just everything's red. Like I'm fine with that kind of knockout.
Predator.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So we're introduced to Alex Sector.
Sure.
Who's this guy then?
Can I say a few
Chris,
things that
the man in the chair?
Something I said at the beginning of this episode that has now dawned on me as we go through this issue again was that code name thing. And by the way, great shout. I mean, all the plaudits in the universe to the team on this one. Waters, especially for the writing here. He's been slipping in their code names and under the radar because I remember they had code names. Couldn't remember when their bloody code names were. Guess what Alex Sector's code name was, guys?
What?
Have a guess. It's written in the comic. Megabyte. Megabyte is Alex Sector's original code name from Mask that they've snuck in. And the exact same thing happens in a little while as well, which we'll get to in a second. But so Alex Sector, we've got the figure that came with Rhino. It was him and Bruce Sato originally that came with Rhino. And yeah, Alex Sector is freaking awesome. Like he's like this. he's a veterinarian. He's a very like, again, a unique character design, not one you'd expect as an antagonist in like an action franchise. He's slightly older, wiser, more calm, careful demeanor, very kind of like empathetic.
He's a bald ginger with a beard.
Exactly. He's literally Tim Finn without the glasses, basically.
As an older cat lover with no hair and a ginger beard.
Oh, and his
also, I owned the Rhino as a kid. I had one mask toy, which was the Rhino, plus those 2 guys.
Phenomenal vehicle. I love the Rhino. And of course, you've got Jack Rabbit, his helmet as well, which I don't think we see. We don't see it here. We see it.
We've not seen it. No, we've seen it. Yeah.
But we don't see it in.
Well, he's not part of the team yet. He doesn't have a mask.
Well, not in.
But he's got a watch
in a second.
Oh, of course.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm excited to see all of that as well. But yeah, I again love the little kind of like like his sort of like dig at sort of like newer kind of hackers and like kids on Discord and stuff, like basically just like saying that I may be old but I know what I'm doing, and have probably even more kind of experience in all of these kind of things, which is pretty cool.
Something that I like about that I didn't notice about this page until I'd finished the comic. We're on page 6. Tracker's in his car and he's driving somewhere, and it looks like he's driving fast because there's speed lines. And
he says it's loud, doesn't he? And he's like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" Sort of thing. Yeah.
And I
was wondering if he's on the road or if he's somewhere above the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought initially. Yeah.
Right. But page 6. It's 4
Although
panels.
No, his doors would be up if he was flying, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's true.
Right. It's page 6 is 4 panels of 2 guys seated and talking. It's just a page of dialogue, and that happened on page 3 with Mayhem and
Yep.
Warfield, and I go back and forth on, dialogue in comics being too much, like, is this a boring talking head scene when they should be doing something? Is this really good character work and sort of reveal, and it's sort of like subtly, like some artists sometimes talk about how it's hard or boring to draw a scene when the writer just gives them like two people talking for a page or two. And
no, this is really compelling.
And it serves as a contrast to this giant 2/3 page splash just before of this weird looking villain mask helmet. But also I think about Waters. Waters has this, it's like, it's not a zero issue. It's not an issue number one. It's kind of an issue number one. It's almost like they planned a double size issue number one and split it in half for Free Comic Book Day and half for issue number one. Although I do think the first page of issue number one will like jump ahead an hour or a week. It's not going to be the next moment. But I think about this. I think about the valuable real estate of not just any comic, but a Free Comic Book Day comic.
It's funny that you say that, Tim. I can think of a lot of it, loads of issues in the Energon universe where it's literally just what happened previously. Like the next page is literally tagging like in from what just happened. Like it almost feels like every issue has been almost like the immediate.
You're falling into the trap of Harmer writing.
Yes, I'm thinking of a different G.I. Joe series that I also pay a lot of attention to.
I also I'm a big fan of just this little interaction between these two and that little subtle element which definitely felt. I remember reading this the first time and that first thing where he says it sounds loud. Where are you? Like, what are you doing? He's, I'm just driving. Something else is happening there. And something else is going on, which we find out later, obviously. But I just think that's such a nice little subtle drop in. But it's definitely something that you go, no, there's something to that. A writer wouldn't point that out. It's not necessarily. It's just not necessary unless there's something else going on there. And I was with you, Mark, on that. I was thinking, I wonder if he's flying. But then you make the very good point of obviously the doors are closed, so he can't be.
Yeah. But we find out why he's driving so fast,
and why it's
at the end of the story, and why it's loud. But there's a great bit on this page, which is where Man in the Chair is describing this. Him monitoring what's going on with this. The aircraft sort of approaching this prison in Russia, and he's saying they detected an unauthorized vehicle entering their airspace. Having said that, he didn't sound particularly concerned, and he didn't sound particularly concerned at the time. But then a few seconds afterwards, he was very much concerned because he was blown up by some missiles. So it was a fun bit, and as you say, they've sort of made on that specific page. They made the talking heads, very dynamic and fun to watch, rather than just being a back and forth of literally the same,
exposition
head
or whatever,
etc. Yeah. But I love the prison scenes and the setup of this baddie Sly Rax.
Guess what his code name was, guys?
Prison
Straight
Jacket.
No, it's written on there. They've given him a name.
Oh,
the Russians.
Wrecker.
Wrecker is Sly Rax's code name. So I'm saying right now, I'm so happy with the team on this one, the creative team, because they have 100% done more than enough in terms of research here. Like, it's incredible. And there's Stiletto, his helmet, of course, as well.
Yeah, I'm loving this guy already. I think that those scenes setting him up in the, in the prison jumpsuit and the straight jacket
and his
breakout and the crazy eyes, and he does look like a wild figure as well. As he's got the shades, a bit of a sort of a punky leather jacket look to him, and he came with this piranha.
Him and Cliff Dagger
motorcycle.
Cliff Dagger. Floyd Malloy, in fact, most of the Venom team, they could just slip into the Dreadnoks without even, any sort of thought whatsoever of redesign. They just slot right into that team. No worries.
I just want to talk about the color again, because the prison scene, there are all these really gorgeous bright reds and bright oranges, but then also the stripes on Slyrax and some of the shadows become these slightly desaturated purples, and
It's
and
gorgeous, isn't it?
and then the panel just before, a couple pages ahead, he's actually out of his cell, and now some guards are coming at him from down the hallway, and this like sort of atmospheric perspective that Parr is doing, which I think is really like the lighting, because they're coming from a stairwell, so like there's light from up and outside just beyond where those guys are coming from. Can you go one more page forward, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, when the word balloon, he just says HN. He's thinking. So the like purple and then blue and then light blue of that hallway in the distance, and then it all becomes green because they get zapped. This man, Pye Parr's coloring is just candy. It's just gorgeous, tasty candy, and
also
then,
just taking out a guard with a belt buckle as an action sequence is just gnarly.
Yes.
And absolutely loving every second of it as well, isn't he? He's horrible.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to say one last thing about color. On the following page, when Mayhem walks up to him, this is page 17 of the Mask story.
Love that pic.
So can you zoom in on this first panel, Mark? So Mayhem is in silhouette, and we just see a counter silhouette for his visor. So he's just a silhouette guy, and you can tell he's wearing his mask. And he says Sly, and in behind him is Warfield, and she's also a silhouette. And the color is doing so much amazing work on this panel, because the like real world like guys, the dead guys on the bottom, like they're in the red that matches the actual lighting of the scene. The steam coming off of them, having been like vaporized, is this gradient, transparent, like light blue, middle blue, faded dark blue, but also like light blue, lavender, pink, because it's in front of. And then between Mayhem and Warfield is like yellow steam, her silhouette is all red. Like this panel, like it feels like that 80s, quote Miami look. And
also, you know what Viper does, don't you? It secretes like like acid, basically. Okay. So he literally just zaps them, and then they just burn to death. Like,
okay, so that was off panel. He vaporized them with his mask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the Fzak? Is that acid? Venom?
Oh, sorry, not Venom. Viper. Viper is the name of his helmet. But yeah, it basically just like kicks out like that horrible sort of
So it doesn't. Does it feel like liquid to you from that panel?
It feels more like a laser. It feels like
all the masks are pretty much like that. They have like it's always going to be sort of like an electronic thing rather than a it's not going to literally going to kick
don't
out
take it too
liquid.
Literally. It's
not going to kick out liquid. It's just an acidic burn that they get basically.
So
by the way, do you know what Miles Mayhem's code name is? I don't think they mentioned it here, but they might have done. It's Wolf.
Okay.
So just bear that one in mind. Also, that panel there, the three of them, the sort of like the classic movie trope of them all walking. Yeah, exactly. For some reason, I'm getting like crazy America's Elite style vibes off that. You remember America's Elite, Tim? I know you talked about America's Elite, right? In the comics. That first couple of issues that were very specifically like, I forget the artist's name now.
Stefano Caselli.
Thank you. Beautiful artwork. I'm getting so much like very similar vibes on that three. And
Sanjay Raj was coloring those first, right? A couple issues, and was really rendering in a good way the heck out of.
I thought that was gorgeous. I thought Caselli's the artwork for America's Elite was phenomenal. That first
this panel does stick out in a way. I think Parr is like doing a lot more highlighting on these costumes for this sort of presentation shot. It's fun. There's a fun detail that I like that Slyrax, his jacket straitjacket that's over his prison uniform, and his prison uniform is orange with purple stripes, right, with magenta stripes. He's sort of unzipped his
Straight jacket.
Straight jacket.
It's just,
yeah.
But he's still wearing it. I don't know, because it's cold or because he's crazy or because it's kind of going to become his costume. It's kind of like his leather jacket from the action figure. All right, let's jump to the final page, and then we've got 3 more stories to touch on. The final page is the reveal of what Tracker's been doing. So, you guys, where are we, and who are those other things?
Good
so
questions.
Tracker is in the desert somewhere. He's being chased by the military, maybe under the auspices of General Flagg, who had previously said, "Get me, Tracker." And then he gets onto his watch, and he says, "I'm bringing us online." And ding, it goes off. Glasgow, Hong Kong, Florida, Brussels, Tokyo, New York.
Everyone's talking about pop music. Yeah.
So okay, so Tracker's being chased on the second to last page. Did I miss number the previous page? I think I referred to page 16 as 17. Anyway, so we're on actual page 17 now. Tracker's driving. He's being chased by these vehicles. It's not G.I. Joe, but you might kind of think it's G.I. Joe. It's not an All Striker. It's not a Havoc. But for a second, I thought, who is this? With this gorgeous sunset behind him, and the camera's at an angle, so there's a strong diagonal to this. And then the final page, Parr does this really great thing with the layout, where the top tier is all the way across the page, and the next tier is 3 panels, and the next tier is 4 panels, and the next tier, we're getting all the way to the bottom of the page, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels, and we're getting sort of closer and closer to people's wristwatches as their mask holograms, let's say, activate, sort of floating above their mask watches. And as Mark called out, there's a caption for each panel identifying a city, but as we're sort of zooming in on people, it's indirect. We're not seeing their faces. We're not entirely seeing what they're doing, but there's just enough information. And if you know this concept of mask, that you have a day job and you can get called. This is from me rewatching 10 episodes in the last year. Otherwise, hadn't really seen masks.
Just leave your car in the middle of the intersection, Gloria. It's fine. Just leave it. Just park it there in the middle of the intersection.
Who's a race car driver? I feel like he's always running away from the beginning of an F1 race.
Julio Lopez.
Okay. So
Brad's always leaving his band in the dust, isn't he? He's always like leaving he's on the stage and they're playing and he just runs away.
Right. He's actually playing a 24-hour-a-day concert for like just the entire year. He's like, I can't take a break because if Matt calls me, I need to leave in the most dramatic and disappointing way possible. But this final page, page 18 of the comic, there's just enough information, right? Like is someone like a pickpocket? Is someone a cook? What's happening in Tokyo? Like that's a big like knife for chopping.
It's a meat cleaver, that is.
Meat cleaver. Someone in New York is like down on their luck.
Homeless, possibly,
possibly unhoused, leaning against a dumpster in Abuja. Abuja, thank you. That's okay. That's a U. That's not an L-I-J. Someone is I can't quite tell. Like walking towards an operating room, or anyway. But I love this. This final page got me really jazzed for the exciting concept of M.A.S.K. when he calls them, when they are all.
It's the best part of the cartoon as well, isn't it? It's like putting the team together, the computer kind of compiling it all, and I love that.
But the comic did it in a very comic book way, right? With panels that get smaller and sort of more important, and we're zooming in, right? And this is so great. We're zooming in on that final tier where it's just mask, icon, hologram, mask, icon, hologram. Another one, we get closer and closer and closer to one eye in this holographic goggle. And there's a little glint, a little reflection in it, which is a circle. And in the second to last panel, that circle now fills the tiny panel. So there's a blue glowing circle on a black square, right? Welcome to the M.A.S.K. Network, says the caption. It's time for you to save the world. So there's this doubling of meaning where we're zoomed in on this tiny dot, right? It's sort of an eye under the goggle of the mask icon hologram. It's now just become a blue glowing circle on black, and it's right by the word world, right? It's like a little icon of the world. And I love that convergence. I love the sort of mystery of the final page. Who are all these people? Not where are they, because it tells us, but what are they doing? And then this surprise reveal that like, oh, I sort of thought that this would be a slower build. Like, oh, well, on the final page, he'll have recruited one person, maybe two, right? Or he'll announce M.A.S.K to one person. No, the whole team's set. What a cool final page.
Do you remember, Tim, in pages of, I think it's G.I. Joe 19, when Matt Tracker is reintroduced, there's a sequence where he sort of is touring the world, and it's not quite explained why.
Right.
Perhaps he's doing a world tour recruiting people.
Very good. Very good. Final thoughts on M.A.S.K? We should jump to the other stories.
I'm just going to quickly say, I think, so we've got Alex Sector in Glasgow, so we know that he's in Scotland. In Hong Kong, I'm going to guess that's Bruce Sato. In Florida, I was thinking maybe Brad Turner, but like, because they don't have one where there's a guy on stage and, performing. So I'm thinking, well, maybe that, or it could be Dusty Hayes, Gator sort of situation. So maybe that's more likely. Then Brussels, I was thinking, ooh, maybe Jack LaFleur, but the watch is on a female wrist by the look of it. So again, that could be another female character. Tokyo, wasn't quite sure about who that could be. Same for New York. Abuja is in Africa, it's in Nigeria, so I don't know necessarily what character that could be. Moscow, I was thinking Boris Bushkin. He's the only sort of Russian character in M.A.S.K. And in Delhi, you have Ali Bombay, who is in M.A.S.K as well. But in as far as like known characters go, they were the only ones I could put to locations necessarily. But this could just be a little bit more vague, or they could be loads of other characters joining M.A.S.K and lots of different design iterations. So I'm excited to see what we get in terms of a M.A.S.K team, and if they follow up on this to tell us where all these people were and what they were doing.
Chris, these characters who you can identify, is this all from the original first year of M.A.S.K toys? Yeah. Okay, the toy line ran how many years?
Not long. So it had 2 series regular, then it had a racing series. There were two series worth of that, so about 4 series over about 4 years.
Did the final 2 years continue introducing new characters?
More so having the same ones, same characters sort of like reimagined and put into different vehicles and what have you. But there's a couple of characters that pop out, like Ace Riker, like I said, Ali Bombay, they were a bit later on, Julio Lopez. So they definitely kind of kept churning out characters, but like I think once you get into the racing series, you're only looking at like Calhoun Burns and maybe another. I can't think of the Stinger driver's name now. Anyway,
it'll be, as we look at the ENERGON universe with, say, G.I. Joe or Transformers, they start with the earliest, G.I. Joe ENERGON universe starts with the earliest characters from 82. Transformers mostly started with Transformers from 84 and 85. But, Kirkman brings in Bulkhead, right? Who's a much later Transformers character. And then on his way out, Daniel Warren Johnson introduces a new Transformers. Transformers, Shredhead, is that his name? The guitar guy who's got the pink highlights.
Yeah.
And M.A.S.K is a much smaller timeline as a brand with vehicles and characters and costumes. And I wonder at what point Dan Waters might choose to invent a new M.A.S.K character or so thoroughly reinvent one as to be new. Mark, any final thoughts on M.A.S.K?
No, I really enjoyed this one, but yeah, definitely expect M.A.S.K issue #1 to pick up seconds after this sequence. If it doesn't, I will eat my hat. Okay. Next up,
we got this 4-page Transformers story.
a 4-page Transformers story. So written by new regular Transformers writer Robert Kirkman with artist Jason Howard, who is the new regular Transformers artist.
When you say Kirkman is as new, you mean since
issue 25.
Since 5 months ago.
Yeah. Well. Okay. And colorist Sarah Stern. So plot briefing. A mysterious woman with a red sword kills a snake before finding refuge in the chest of the Transformer Ironhide, who is inert in a jungle mountainside.
I want to point out, folks, this 4-page Transformers story has 2 sound effects and no dialogue and no
silent
captions.
issue.
Another silent issue.
It's a silent issue. So the end of this story, as short as it is, does not tell us who this woman is. And I have to admit, having not reread Transformers, I have lost track of.
I'm assuming it's the young female character in current Transformers, because this feels like a future sort of like leap. It might not be.
I have thoughts.
I don't think this. I don't think this.
I think this is set in the distant past. So we've got the sort of rusted or sort of remains of this Transformer Ironhide, who eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed was not in the Transformer series to date, really, but was seen briefly in the background, lying down in the Ark, which may or may not be retconned as to whether that is part of the continuity or not, because it was a tiny Easter egg to some degree.
The picture that Mark is showing is from issue 1 or 2, and it's when the Ark has crashed and all the Autobots and Decepticons are like broken into pieces and unconscious in the Ark, having just crashed on Earth. Okay.
So and so that's Ironhide, famous Transformer, a bit of an A-lister or a B-lister, one of the original G1, and I think a few people have been calling out for, where is this guy? He's one of my favorites. But we've not got a huge amount to go on in terms of this story. We've got kind of a jungle. It looks like maybe like an Amazonian jungle. We've got a girl as described in this sort of slightly ragged but also slightly sort of kitted up look. She's got this jagged red sword, and then she encounters a snake that she grabs, chops the head off, and then I think she is cooking up the snake and eating it before climbing up this mountainside past waterfalls and then climbing into this sort of broken chest cavity of Ironhide. And so we've not got a huge amount of context clues as to, beyond it being a jungle, when or where this is set. And my speculation is that we're not in the future or even the present. I think that we might be in the past, but that I don't necessarily have a huge amount to go on.
And this is how sort of weirdly like tuned my comics reading is. When I saw the cover a couple months ago, I thought, oh, the Savage Land,
right?
Which is not Skybound. It's not the ENERGON universe. That's a Marvel thing. The X-Men go there. It's a little bit of Antarctica, which is temperate, but like tropical jungle. And also there are dinosaurs there.
We've all been there, Tim. We've all been there, mate.
Although, of course, wait, let me go back a half step. The Savage Land is a part of Transformers, because in issue 5 or 5, 6, 7 of Marvel Transformers from 1984, that's how we get Dinobots. And that was sort of retconned out. And I admit, I can't remember if it was specifically retconned out sort of immediately after the like first, half year of the Marvel Transformers decided it could not be in the Marvel universe, right? Don't forget, Spider-Man is on the cover to issue 3. They meet Spider-Man. Yeah. Or if I'm jumping ahead to when Simon Furman wrote Transformers 84 is the subtitle Secrets and Lies, and like the Zero special. And he like added some stuff that had happened in the Bob Budiansky, Simon Furman continuity after the Transformers leave Cybertron and before they make it to present day Earth, to like explain where the Dinobots come from. But he also, did he write Maximum Dinobots at IDW? Anyway, I think this is not the Savage Land, but spiritually, it might be the Savage Land.
I'd love if they call it the Savage Land as well.
I think they just call it Ghost Rider.
And I've seen some speculation to who this character could be. Could it be Carly, this main human character from Transformers, who does have black hair
That's what
as
I
well?
just
Maybe
assumed it was,
you know, maybe it's in the future, and
you know what?
You know, her hair's.
If this was dumb, this would be in the past, and it's Carly's like great grandmother. It just like looks just like her. I hope it's not that.
And I've seen speculation. Could it be Dawn? Could it be Visionaries related? But I saw this very interesting one, which and Jason Howard sort of did a post, which was quite funny. It was like, are there hints as to what this could be related to in the story? I'm not. Maybe there are. Maybe there aren't. Kind of thing. And in the comments of Jason Howard's Instagram post, people said, "We're getting pretenders, aren't we? The lizard is iguanas, the hawk eagle is bird brain, the woman could be Eos finally making her debut. Eos and the other pretenders of Primax 304.25 Zeta, based on unused concepts seen in Transformers Generations Deluxe," which I think is this illustration. And look at this Eos, who is the second one in on this illustration.
Yeah.
Can you see what she has got on her belt? It is a red sword.
Holy crap.
That is a deep cut right there, pun intended. Also, if you haven't heard the Pretenders commercial theme tunes, by the way, get them in you, because they are freaking hilarious. Some of the most excessive lyrical like commercial music you've ever heard in your life. Like they just keep bashing words in there that don't really deserve or need to be in there. It's amazing. Anyway, Pretenders, baby.
Let's go broad for a second. This story is 4 pages, and when I read it, I don't want to say disappointed, but you know, again, last year the ENERGON Universe special had only 3 stories, so they could be longer, and not a lot of writers can pull off a really satisfying 4-page thing. And this year's
teaser, isn't it? This is something that you kind of get at the back end of of an issue. Sometimes there's a little bit of padding
because of this 4-page story. When I was halfway through the ENERGON Universe comic, I thought, oh, this Skybound ENERGON Universe comic is now more like other Free Comic Book Day comics, where I'm getting something substantial and exciting, and then some small things that aren't, right? Like Mark held up the DC Next Level Free Comic Book Day comic, which has a like 6-page preview excerpt from Lobo #1 that came out 2 months ago, and like 4 pages from Batwoman #1 that came out 6 weeks ago, and then like same for Deathstroke #1 that came out 6 weeks ago. And then also it has like 2 preview pages of the upcoming Barbara Gordon miniseries, and then also 2 pages of like something else preview. And if you are new to comics, or you're lapsed, if you didn't know that Lobo's got a monthly, you know, Deathstroke's got a new monthly, Batwoman, that could be great. But as an actual object, I can't imagine that reading like the first 4 pages of Batwoman #1 from 6 weeks ago is enough to get me to like go back and ask about that series.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a cop out, doesn't it?
And so I like this 4-page story. I like that it asks a big question: who's this woman? What happened to Ironhide? Yep. Where are we? And as Mark says, when are we?
When? Yep.
In and of itself, it's not an exciting thing. If I had not read Transformers ever, or in the last 2 years, I don't know that this would put me over the hill. And I think what the ENERGON Universe Free Comic Book Day comics have now done 3 years in a row is at best be the next chapter in this ongoing story, and also add some spice. Like, did you know there's a whole nother G.I. Joe team? Like, what? But also sort of reward us sort of regulars. Like, no, this is a special next thing, even if it's not very big. Here's a Hershey's Kiss. I know you wanted a sundae. No one gets sundaes on Free Comic Book Day. But it's not a raisin. And some of the Free Comic Book Day comics are raisins. Or,
well, the other thing is it's part of
Halloween
something else
Raisinets.
as well. It's not just, this isn't a Transformers comic. So it's part of the Energon universe. So it's not like they're they're holding back in any way, shape, or form. Like, I feel like just most of the focus went to the mask effectively in the book, which makes sense because that's what they're building up to. Transformers is already super popular and is selling all over the place as well. So from a marketing perspective, it's where do you put the main attention and the main focus for something like this?
Mask is a risk for Skybound. I think it's going to work. I think it'll keep going, but there is very little Mask fandom. And that's everything. There's never been a movie, right? Like G.I. Joe's had a bunch of movies, Transformers. So they've, as Chris says, they're really pushing. Mark, your turn.
Just say before we get too far on from Mask as well, they said that they're only in the back of the book here. They say that we're only a month away from the launch of Mask, which is something that we've been planning since the inception of this universe. So it's fun to see that it is something that has been in the works and planned for a long time, and not necessarily just a reaction to, oh, hey, we're doing really well. What else can we throw in the mix?
Yeah, right.
That they're being thoughtful about this.
When you look at Skybound overall, since they took over and started doing all these comics, everything looks to be like, oh wow, they're just, everything they touch turns to gold. But there's a reason for it. There's multiple reasons for it. One being they've already got a lot of equity before they've even started. Skybound is a pretty massive, juggernaut anyway, with lots of, big deal brand, properties and what have you, like Walking Dead and Invincible and so on and so forth. Things that have gone on and become bigger things as well. Animation, movies, whatever. It's a big deal. So they've got that basis. You've got Robert Kirkman's name attached to it as well. Everyone loves Robert Kirkman, and he seems to again do really good stuff. But they didn't just go, right, we've got the brand, let's just churn some stuff out. They have methodically planned a really impressive rollout of miniseries, lead-ins, crossover events, a brand new series of comics that has done really well on its own merit. And again, like the team that the people that they're utilizing, the artists, high quality, the writing team, high quality, everything is just like they're doing the right things, and they're planning it, and they're making it right, and they're rolling it out in this very methodical and excellent way. And it's no surprise that it's already doing well because of all of those different things. This does not feel like a well, let's just throw this out and see how it goes. This is, this might be a big risk for them. I don't, they're not making it a risk. They're making it like almost like, guaranteed to fail, basically,
Yeah.
Well, I do think of these 4 titles, once we get a few months in, Mask will be the lowest seller.
Possibly.
We may never know that, but just people don't know Mask.
I'm excited for that when you get the news of like issue 4 and its 7th printing. That's what I'm excited to see. If Mask can do that and like and keep that consistency that all the other comics have had, then great. I'm just happy to see Mask. If they can keep that on, if everything else is the tent pole to keep Mask going as well, like if Mask can be sort of the passion project that isn't necessarily going to be pulling in all of the the numbers, then if they can keep it going like that, then great.
And also make it matter as part of this wider universe.
Yeah,
I had I noticed on the credit page here, it's got the special thanks to the Hasbro people. It says special thanks to Hasbro's Ed Lane, Michael Cohn, Kelly Rose Johnson, Linda Lee, Tyler Rayo, Elise Daventuno, and Ben McRae for their invaluable assistant. So Ben McRae is, I think, a new name that I've not noticed in there. But that Ben McRae, we now realise is the real name of BMAC, who is the G.I. Joe classified. What's his title? Brand manager or
marketing? He's marketing lead. Yeah,
marketing lead.
I want to say one. I want
and
to say one more.
In his recent Instagram post, he said that he's been moonlighting on Skybound's mask. So I think he must be the go-to guy for Skybound talking to Hasbro.
Let's talk about Void Rivals.
Let's do it. So one sentence summary is Proximus and Ultim crashed on planet Junkion before encountering Acronus from Pythona's Cobra La team, and he will join them on their voyage to Earth.
Mark, help me out. When does this take place?
So that's an interesting one, because this one takes place at some point after the Quintesson War, which is ongoing in the pages of the Energon, in pages of Void Rivals at the moment. Yeah. And the final part of the Energon War is issue 30, on sale May the 27th. So this is set somewhat in the future, and I think there's a bit of a gap in the story that we've not yet seen. I don't know whether it's an intentional kind of glimpse into the future, or the publishing schedule kind of got slightly misaligned. But it's
last time we see Proxima isn't massive spoiler alert. Wasn't there some sort of like, oh, we're related sort of situation? There's a big related situation, like a sister situation, a sister brother situation.
Indeed, they talk about that in the story specifically as well. He talks about his sister. So they say.
I think it's because the last we see of him is almost him like leaving after that. So I think we're catching this not necessarily as a spoiler, but the Quintesson War still ongoing, and this has happened shortly after that sort of storyline, I believe.
Yes, I think it will be this happens not long after the Quintesson War, that he talks about his sister Salila, who's gone or been taken by Pythona back to a planet called Earth. Yeah. And they're trying to follow him back, which sort of gives then the reveal of our Cobra La guy, Acronus, who says that Earth is his home planet. So it's on the same page. I go to Earth to find my sister. Strangely, she has been taken there by this Cobra La that you speak of. Well, then, Proximus, it appears that we have a long journey ahead of us together. So it's really this is a really exciting element, because it's taking us and the Void Rivals to Earth.
Who's talking in the background?
That is my Handroid.
Say the name so she keeps talking.
That is my personal assistant, electronic personal assistant.
I just want to say how good it is to see Conor Hughes back drawing Void Rivals. His work is a very strong match for Lorenzo Di Felici, who drew the first batch of issues. Hughes's work is so geometric. I'm so aware of like fronts and sides of like, shoulders, whether it's an organic shoulder or armor, or like sort of Transformers, like shoulder armor cube. And Patricio Delpeche's colors, there's just sort of like 8 colors in the whole story, and yet it reads as very lively and satisfying. Again, I don't think broad strokes. I don't think yesterday at Free Comic Book Day, 3 people looked at our spread at my store and said, "What do you recommend?" And I was sort of torn, because I actually think the best comics yesterday that we had were the Sonic #1 reprint, the DC Sonic #1 reprint, the Nice House on the Lake #1 reprint, and sorry, I'm blanking. There was another like relatively recent full issue #1 reprint. And I don't want Free Comic Book Day to only be that. I do think those usually work better than the like Marvel thing that's like an 8-page, Spider-Man teaser for an upcoming event that like can't really be the opening chapter of that, but also
or something like this, which is like right in the middle of the continuity of 5 different comic books. Yeah.
So I said to one person, he's like, well, what's your favorite? And I said, I did this twice. I said, well, I'm reading all the ENERGON Universe comics. This is like longer than normal, and this is a bunch of little stories that push it further. And in each case, this person and this other person went up to grab it, and they said, oh, well, I'll read this. And I said, well, if you haven't read any of the ENERGON Universe, and if you think you might, I don't know that this is the place to start. And here I am sort of ruining the whole concept of Free Comic Book Day and like shooting maybe a potential sale in the foot. Folks, I sell Void Rivals Volume 1 and like Duke and Transformers Volume 1 on my own, separate from Free Comic Book Day throughout the year. So don't worry, I can get people into these books. And I do think that this comic is so, I think like the M.A.S.K story can get people into M.A.S.K #1. Yes. I think these other 3 stories aren't really, maybe the G.I. Joe one, but but you have to know G.I. Joe. They're not really to get you into Void Rivals and Transformers. They're for the 3 of us who've been reading all these books.
Objection.
Okay.
So I think,
and the 27th printing of issue this, that, and the other. So like they've got their audience like locked. Do you know what I mean? I think we're
locked and expanding. I think you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is an interesting story potentially for people who've not been collecting Void Rivals or maybe lapsed. Because it's off there over in space. It's mostly a Transformers book.
But
it's not really impacting on G.I. Joe and the wider Transformers story. But here we've got this plot moment saying, look, Void Rivals is coming to Earth. They're going to be in the same location as the main location for Transformers and G.I. Joe. And Cobra La is also returning back to Earth, so it gives it a little bit more urgency. It's a bit of a hold on to your butts type situation.
Okay. Objection sustained. You make a good point, and I agree with you. I think what you were just saying is this Void Rival story, this 6-page story, gets ENERGON Universe people and Void Rival curious and Void Rivals lapsed people back into it. Excellent. I agree. No one who came to Free Comic Book Day at my store yesterday is that person. It's all people who don't know what Void Rivals is. Yeah. And I would rather sell them Volume 1 when I do my explanation of Volume 1.
Yeah.
Or Issue 1, because we still have almost all the issues in our like recent box at cover price.
How many free comic books can you give out in one go, Tim? All of them, for example?
There are no limits. Every store does it differently.
I'd just be like, what do I recommend? Here's a stack. Here's one of every single free comic book we do.
So,
go nuts.
Okay, I do think this is a larger philosophical. I do think having too many Free Comic Book Day comics can backfire because when people come in, a lot of them, the default is that they're going to just get 1, or maybe they're just going to get 2. And many years we do 3 or 4. Don't quote me. We change it every year. It depends on what the night is, how many we got, and the weather. But so when people are looking, and I'm like, it's free, because it's not Free Comics Book Day. It's Free Comic Book Day. So like reasonable people who aren't like, is everything free? When they're like, oh, and I say, and you can take 3 or you can take 4. A lot of people have a positive surprise reaction. Like, oh, so many. And I feel, and every store is different. Some stores have sales. Some stores have an artist doing a signing. We just have Free Comic Book Day comics. And that for us, that's a lot. And I think that like 3 or 4, or let's say 5, feels like a substantial amount. It's like, oh, this will take me a little while to read. If I give them 20, I feel like immediately 10 of them are like not important. You know, it's like, do you want free ice cream? Yes. Well, here's a scoop. Oh, thank you. Like, here's 2 more scoops. I don't want mine. Do you want mine?
And I also find it funny as well, like, you know, going into a comic book store, you're going to also, like, it's not like you've never seen a comic before. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not getting like a baby come in. You're not getting a fetus come into the shop. Like, these people must understand that you just get the things that you like. What do you like? Do you know, that would be another thing. It's like I suppose it's different for me because I know very specifically what I'm aiming for. Like I know going into that situation that it's going to be, I'm really interested in He-Man, Thundercats, Alien, Predator, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I know that those things buzz my berries. So if I get an opportunity to have a free something of it, I'm just going to go for that. And like, I know there's an element of, what do you recommend that might be something I've never thought of before? I get that too. I just find it odd that it's like, it just seems sometimes like it's one extreme or the other. It's someone who knows exactly what they want, or it's someone that has never seen a comic book in their life.
Mark, what was that comment you just put up? Was that from Jim?
Yeah, I was gonna say as well that I guess giving fewer or putting a bit of a constraint on it. I think there's that element of having scarcity sort of adds to the perception of it having value. If it's like you can have as many as you want, then I think that it could be interpreted that these don't have a value, or people are just taking stuff and never, not going to
let me go a step. Okay, Jim Smith in the comments said my store did 10. So at Jim Smith's store, people could get 10, and.
But it just got 10 energy on you specials.
And Matt Mason says, my store does guests, buy 2, get 1, and many more special things like the 501st, people in Star Wars uniforms. They allow 10 free comic book day comics per person. Okay, suddenly by this very tiny sampling, and Jim Smith says, and then I spent $25 on other books. From this very tiny sampling, suddenly it seems like my store might be a little stingy if we're offering 3 or 4 or 5 compared to these 2 stores that offer 10. But let me say 2 more things. One, I went to a comic book store 2 weeks ago, and by the door on my way out, they had 3 short boxes of free comic book day comics from last year, not labeled, not special, no ceremony. It was sort of like where you'd get like flyers for conventions and like the local free like arts newspaper, or like the like magazine about the city that's free. And it was like 50 copies, 30 copies, 20 copies of some free comic book comics from last year. And part of me is like, wow, awesome, free comics. I love comics. And some of those are good. It was like the Fantastic Four #1 from last year by Slott and Ramos. And then part of me thought, oh, this looks like trash. This looks like disposable and like not at all special. And this happened. I went to another comic book store once 5 years ago, and it was in September. And in the back, big store, in the back corner, they had like 3 tables with 5 long boxes, unlabeled, no signage, just like in the back corner where they sort of ran out of stuff to put because their space was too big for all the stuff they had to sell, with free comic book day comics from 4 or 5 months earlier. And it's the same feeling. One other thing, I don't expect anyone who comes to my store to go to another store, but we do. I've said this a couple times. Within 3 miles, there are 4 other comic book stores near my store. And people do go, a few people do go to more than one in my area on a free comic book day. And maybe some of the stores that have bigger events, or you can give out a lot more, that's like the only store for 20 miles. So like every ecosystem is different. And of course there are places where there's no comic book store and libraries are participating. RecShip85 says, my store lets you get 1 of every free comic. Most other stores in the area only let you get up to 5, but you can get all of the free comic book comics if you spend like $50 or something. So, every store does it differently. And no one has ever like reasonably seriously said to us like, well, that's not enough. How stingy. So I do think for our store, we're doing okay. Let's talk about G.I. Joe.
Just while we're finishing up on Void Rivals, I was going to just note about the special guest stars that we've got in this particular story for people less familiar with Void Rivals. So we've got Ultim. So Ultim, this sort of little kid guy, is a member of the Zartonian resistance and is responsible for freeing Darak from captivity, first seen in Void Rivals issue 5, and then cropping up intermittently since. And Acronis he was particularly important in issues 19, and I think issue 20 as well, of Void Rivals, where he was kind of ended up abandoned, let's say, on the Junkion planet. So when we last saw him, he was, set up as being there on Junkion. So that is picking up his particular story from that previous thread. So nice to see that being continued. So then the next story is probably one we'll just skip over. It's a little story called G.I.
Hilariously, I'm going to have to go soon, so I'm probably going to miss the entire G.I. Joe comic. I'm so sorry, guys.
Wait, skip the summary. Let's just give the mic to Chris. Chris, tell us 3 things.
Wait. The G.I. Joe story summary is in a line brought to us writer Joshua Williamson, artist Tom Reilly, colorist Lee Loughridge. It's the Zartan origin story. It is revealed he uses Energon to make himself a master of disguise, but now has an Energon addiction. He has taken Hawk's role to access his resources and ensure his survival. Chris, what are your thoughts?
First, I'm going to say I'm so happy that Hawk is actually alive. I think that's really cool, and I think we had an inkling of this. I think we talked about this as well, Mark, in messages and stuff in the past about not really sure if Zartan has killed Hawk and taken his place, or if he just got him somewhere locked up. And I think the consensus was that I'm sure he's probably still alive and just kind of in captivity. Lo and behold, that's exactly what's going on here. I really love what Skybound are doing with this particular Zartan character, how they've incorporated Energon into that, how we can now see Zartan's sort of and we saw this before this particular story, but we saw Zartan's actual connection to the Dreadnoks, and the fact that Zarana and Xandar have sort of been kind of taking the lead while he's been off on his jolly sort of situation. And I love the fact I kind of love this sort of backstory for him. I think this particular, again, this is that doing a lot in a very small space, explaining how it all came to be and how he's got this sort of this kind of, they've had this experimentation done on him, which again is something that we've seen with Zartan in all of his different media sort of facets in the past. But again, tying it in with Energon makes sense. And it's not something necessarily that I was thinking about, that he was Energon powered, but that is sort of the case here. So really cool idea, and I think it makes sense for this particular universe.
And they've got the great Easter eggs as well, that after he's got his new power and he's exposed to the sun, he turns blue.
Dark, isn't it?
It's a great kind of effect in terms of the story, but a really lovely Easter egg to kind of that element of the new and old toys of. It
feels like a Skybound update of what Sunbow did. It's like Sunbow, he's like, the light, and he turns blue. But in this one, it's like, the light, and now I'm burning and I'm gone blue and blood is coming out of my nose. It's like, that is what Skybound do. They just make it they just they turn the dial up about to 11 basically on it, which is amazing.
We have another return to body horror on page 2 of the G.I. Joe Zartan story, because in the first panel there's a person. I wasn't sure at first if the person standing in the Stargate 3D printer, it's not a Stargate, in the hexagonal sort of frame with robot arms, it looks sort of like a 3D printer thing. I wasn't sure if that was Cobra Commander or someone important and the scientist was Destro, but then in the panel after it you see this mechanical arm sort of 3D printer gun that's
tattooing his face.
no, the second panel. It's moving up his arm, and it's printing skin on his musculature.
It's like the Terminator. What was it called? The bio, the playset where you could
biolab playset.
Biolab playset.
So Zartan is, it's this is several steps beyond he puts on a mask or he puts on a particularly lifelike mask that's the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible mask in the first movie. This is like he's continually sort of remaking his outer body, his skin, his wrapping, and then the like black markings on his face in that third panel on page 2. I don't know what it means, but it feels like, you know, less a tattoo and less makeup and more
piece
somehow,
of this technology.
Yeah, somehow integrated into this new sort of addiction and like power source and ability.
I like how on this particular page you've kind of got the loop of a wire over that sort of tattoo gun thing. Where is it? Which just above my finger, that thing, and it's sort of you know, from a distance it looks like a cobra, like a snake.
Yes.
And then you kind of look closely and it's a kind of this sort of, you know,
mechanical arm,
tattoo gun, mechanical arm welding thing, whatever it is.
I'll tell you what, though, whoever built that, I'm really impressed with their cable management. That is that is quality.
I think
this insinuation is that this scientist who sort of created this technology for Zartan is that same Dr. Vandermeer, that he was you know, originally there, and then he was sort of kept in the basement in the Florida Everglades base thing, where he was discovered by Cobra Commander.
Who's the one we're getting in the Transformers comic soon? Is that got anything to do with it, do you think?
Dr. Arkeville?
Arkeville, that's it.
Which, folks, is how you spell arch evil. I wanted to say 2 other things about the G.I. Joe story. One, this is now the second time in 3 weeks that Lee Loughridge has come back to G.I. Joe and been colored. That Tom Reilly has come back to G.I. Joe and been colored by Lee Loughridge, right? So issue 21, which is in the middle of this sort of arc where we feel like Tom Reilly is taking it off and hopefully coming back after. And Mark and I have said how much we enjoy what's her name? Jordi Belaire's colors on Tom Reilly, and it's a little bit of an adjustment to see Lee Loughridge, who colors the non-Tom Reilly issues, drawing issue 21 and now the story. I really liked the color in this story. I would still be happy with Jordi Belaire's crazy like candy colors, but I really enjoyed all the color changes on page 3. Pinks in the first panel, orange and blue in the second, you know, pale green in the third, yellow green in the fourth, and that scene. But also, I was really struck by the second to last page where, you know, Chris mentioned, Zartan didn't murder Hawk, he kidnapped him, but we see the literal moment it happened, which is like sort of the most understated, despite being like really pulpy. Like, here's a guy looking at a top secret, looking at a top secret base, and he like gets the hook like on a vaudeville stage, like Zartan's arm literally comes onto panel and grabs him.
It does need a yoink sound effect on there, doesn't it? Definitely.
And it's in faded black and white as flashback. And he's looking specifically at the pit being built or being built more. So we can track this to after the Duke miniseries and before issue 1 or 3 of G.I. Joe, I think.
Or possibly before the ENERGON Universe Special 2024, which is so we've got, I guess, the real Hawk, top left-hand corner, talking to Duke and sort of, you know, getting him to create the G.I. Joe team.
Right,
I want you to build a highly...
You're on the final page now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want you to build a highly trained special mission force. And we think this is the real Hawk. And then he talks about some of my own adjustments, where he's talking to Flint and Lady J in those kind of sneak suits that they were wearing in the Free Comic Book Day story when Baroness was recruited. So I think the you know, logical step is that in between those two events is when that yoinking happened.
My third and final comment.
He got yoinked off.
Is that I guess Hawk can't grow a beard. And I'm okay with this. Feels like Miles Mayhem's costume, as Chris was pointing out. It's identifiable but not realistic.
Or he's been shaving him as well. While he's
it's
been
fun. I mean, Zartan's nuts. Maybe he has been shaving him.
Maybe
I don't
he's been
want
shaving
to
Zartan's nuts as well.
I don't want to see Hawk with like a 3-month beard and long hair, because then it won't look like Hawk. And I really like the mirror imaging on the bottom panel of the second to last page, where Zartan as Hawk is talking to Hawk tied up. And there's even a small difference. They both got tank tops, but their pants are different colors. Just a small difference.
Zartan's not covered in blood as well.
You wonder whether the Zartan needs to keep Hawk alive for a specific reason. That does his powers of mimicry require the original person to be kept alive, that he can access them
he
in
needs
some
DNA
way
or something.
Interesting.
I'm done talking about G.I. Joe. I just have 2 last things to say sort of overall. Should we move to wrap up?
I did, as an observation of this story, I did sort of wonder whether any of the sort of characters in the background, whether they had any particular meaning, like that guy with the smoking gun. There's a character that looks a little bit like Mercer on the top of one of these pages in purple. I don't think it necessarily is meant to be him, but it does look quite a lot like him.
I think they're just generic people, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. And then the other thing is that I wondered whether there was an intentional callback to Zartan from the pages of Real American Hero issue 84, which was the last Zartan origin story, where he appears in this sort of leather biker's vest thing, which is not too dissimilar to the outfit that he is wearing when he steps into the sun and starts burning.
Oh, that's fun. Maybe I was a little too hard on this story. I do think if you know of G.I. Joe but haven't read G.I. Joe, this story is sort of a satisfying enough introduction and tease that it might bring you to buy the new issue or go back to buying volume 1 or the Duke graphic novel. After the editorial letter, after the final page of this comic, there are just 4 pages of full page covers for what's coming, not literally next, because May 6th is the ENERGON is the pay version of this comic, but the 13th is Transformers, the next issue, the 20th is G.I. Joe next issue, the 27th is Void Rivals next issue, and then June 3rd is Mask #1. And I really like this. It just feels, again, I made this comment last year, Skybound's free comic book day offering is so confident. It doesn't feel in any way like a compromise or dashed off. It doesn't feel cynical. Marvel and DC each did like 3 or 4, and that's cool. I don't think they're all amazing, but I think this is a great comic book. It is 30 pages of story, and it's like, all we need to do is show you the cover and give you the dates. It's like, we've given you the keys, now you drive. Mask joke. And it's not like, sometimes like in the Marvel one, there's like a letter from the editor with like a bunch of small covers. It's like, you can also read this and go read this. And we've got this crossover coming up and this big event. And it sort of ends up being too much. My final comments, just one more defense of how I run free comic book day at my store. I don't think anyone thinks that my store is stingy with our free comic book day offerings, but just one last little comparison to stores that may give away a lot more free comic book day comics.
They probably order a lot more.
Well, yes, my store is a graphic novel store. We don't have a huge new comics rack. We don't have a giant back issue section. Both are small and curated. We are really a graphic novel store, and I love free comic book day comic. And the way that we do it is big for us, and maybe by comparison to other stores, small.
Well, mate, I don't give any free comic books away at Free Comic Book Day, so you're already ahead of us on that one. So, more power to you.
You should do an exclusive cover. You should do a full force exclusive cover.
Yeah, all the money we're pulling in on the full force, definitely.
If only you had a shop of your own.
Oh well, yeah. Yeah. That wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, no, yeah, cool. Anyway, brilliant.
Should
I've
we,
got to go now, guys. Really sorry. Thank you so much, though, for having me. It's been fun, and I always enjoy breaking these issues down.
Bye.
Always.
Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye. Oh, cut him off just as he was about to say something, but he's gone.
How do I exit this room? What is this thing you've put up on screen?
I put up a little poll on the screen to ask, would this Free Comic Book Day issue encourage you to buy a title that you wouldn't otherwise buy? 1 for yes, 2 for no. So if it would encourage you to buy something, hit a yes 1 or a 2. So far we've got 2 votes across the batch. 1 saying yes and 1 saying no. Is
this going to backfire and just demonstrate how we have a modest number of people watching the live stream and taking part?
Yeah, and we've got another one. There we go. Well, it does expose us to that, but and also not everyone is in a position where they're sort of easy to type, and what else? Yeah, I think. Or necessarily want to. So we're getting a few coming through, but the blooming thing is not updating, which is not.
I'm getting something on my end. We have.
Are you okay?
We have 147 votes saying yes. This Free Comic Book Day issue would encourage them to buy something else, and 152. Not. So it's pretty even, folks. We have so many people watching the live stream and participating. Yeah. Tell your friends.
And speaking of which, if you are new to the channel, checking out this particular episode especially, then please do hit the like button and click the subscribe bell, and that would be much appreciated. Thank you. We are live. Well, we're live often on the weekends, talking about the latest issues, and we will post a new episode pretty much every single week on a Thursday. So do check us out. The website that we can be found at is talkingjoe.co.uk. That points you in all of the directions that we can be found across the internet, including our Facebook group, where the discussion and news continues outside of the episodes, and also a link to our patreon.com/talkingjoe. A big thanks to Richard, Sam, Christopher, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig, D, Shane V2. This one, Tim, is, I don't know,
stuck in the side of a mountain, unconscious.
Infinite Entertainment, Gary V, Coldroth B, Squishy, Matt, and Edu B. They are getting early access to content as well as some exclusives and other special things. Tim, where can you be found when you are not talking to me about the latest G.I. Joe comics?
Atomic Abe, that's YouTube. Hub Comics, that's a store. RealAmericanBook.com, that's a blog. FOC, your comic book store's final order cutoff. This isn't your last chance to order it, but it's their last chance to be guaranteed copies. Your store's FOC for The Center Holds issue 4, the finale of my Larry Hama MD Bright miniseries published by Boom. Can you put this picture up, Mark? With the 3 covers. Is, if you're watching this live, tomorrow, May 4th, 2026. Covers by Joe Quinones, Daryl Banks, and Mark Bright himself from some sketchbook material. Mark, you're muted.
I clicked stop on the poll, and that has generated our results. Okay. So maybe that's the way that they're working these days. We did get quite a few votes in the end. 86%, that's 860 of the 1,000 votes. Quick maths. Voted for yes, with 14% for no. So as a straw poll, if that is to be believed, and those people all being genuine, they are being encouraged to buy a title that they wouldn't otherwise have bought. So on the first, surface of it, as a straw poll, a success, Tim.
Yes. And it's just a really good comic book from Skybound. It succeeds in many ways and is, I don't know if it's the best, but it's certainly one of the better. We didn't order all of them, so that's not a scientific comparison, and I didn't read them all. But it is a very good free comic book day comic. Another success for Skybound.
Excellent. Yeah, as I said sort of earlier on, I flicked through a good chunk of the free comic book days, but issues, and I felt, I mean, obviously I'm biased here, but I did feel like the ENERGON Universe special was just head and shoulders above the others. That nothing else really even came close in terms of the quality and that feeling of giving more than just a teeny tiny teaser. And yeah, none of the others that I've read sort of did trigger that enough interest from me to think I would definitely have to seek them out. Although it did reinforce to me that I would quite like to check out Lobo, the new Lobo, down the line, because I'm a big fan of the old Alan Grant, Keith Giffen, Simon Bisley stuff, and that did feel like it captured a little bit of that Alan Grant and Keith Giffen sort of magic. So I might wait for the trade on that one and then follow up down the line. But Tim, I think we're pretty much all done talking about the latest ENERGON Universe special. It has been a long old episode today. We had an extra person and we had 4 stories to talk about.
Slightly longer comic to talk about.
Yeah. So I think we're done. But before we go, was there anything that you felt like you needed to include as just a final thought?
Nobody Bits Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Laters.